Within states, you can be a resident, a part-year resident, or a non-resident, and each state will have different rules to determine what will classify you as each. Where this is relevant to international students and scholars is you might be studying in one state, but you might have an internship or perhaps OPT or CPT in another state. So if you've earned in multiple states, you may have a filing obligation in multiple states. Again, the forms will vary from state to state, the rules will vary from state to state, but similar to what we would find on the federal side, if you are an international student or scholar and you have paid state taxes, we would see that in most cases you will be entitled to a state refund. So what we recommend is that you go through SprintTax. Once you tell us what states you've worked in and what taxes you have paid there, we will be able to determine whether you have a filing obligation in that state and an estimate of perhaps what your refund might be. When we look closely then at New York State, the specific rules for New York are that if you have earned over $7,950, you have an obligation to file a state tax return. If you're a resident, then you have to file a state tax return. If you're a resident and didn't have to file a federal return, but your federal adjusted gross income was more than $4,050, then you also need to file a New York State return. Again, similar to the federal status, even if you've earned less than these thresholds, what we would say is if you've seen that you have paid some state taxes, more than likely you might be entitled to a refund. So we would say it's probably going to be worth your while to file a state tax return. Again, here in New York, we also have the opportunity of paying our New York City taxes or perhaps a Yonkers tax. And again, there's an opportunity to claim a refund of those if your circumstances permit. The resident and non-resident rules in New York are particularly unusual. So most undergraduate students, typically on an F or a J visa, will be considered a non-resident for New York State purposes. If you are a graduate student, a professor, a researcher, or a scholar, there are additional tests that we need to apply to figure out whether you're a resident or a non-resident for New York State. These include looking at the type of accommodation that you had, looking at the duration of time that you've spent in New York, looking at the duration of the lease on your accommodation, and other factors. And all of these combined will determine whether you are a resident or a non-resident. So the general rule is that an undergrad, in most cases, will be automatically a non-resident. However, if you're a graduate or a postgrad, researcher, scholar, etc., then we need to do additional tests to establish whether you're a resident or non-resident. Thank you for watching this video. Please do tune in to our other videos for further information.